Hi, everybody. This is Alan Prentice, and welcome back to This Truth. I want to thank you for tuning in for another episode. A lot of things to go over. A lot of things have happened in the past week, and it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and new things all the time. I had to make a list. There's so much that I wanted to get out today. First off, the elephant in the room, the shutdown. I've spoke on it previously. Congress isn't doing their job, basically. You can point fingers to who's doing this, who's doing what, who's not doing this, who's not doing that. Regardless, they're all there to perform a duty, and one of the jobs is a budget. And for too long, the continuing resolutions, otherwise known as the CR, has been a staple, a normal play in the playbook. It was supposed to be kind of intended as kind of a last resort option to give Congress more time in the appropriations process to get that budget finalized and keep the government funded for a short period of time. But it seems that Congress, at least through most of my adult life, and I'm in my mid-40s, that it's being used and utilized way too much than it's supposed to be. And I've had some pretty strong feelings about Congress and their performance of its duties, especially when it comes to compensation, shutdowns. If you can't do the job, well, your pay should be the first one to go. I know there's a couple persons in Congress that relinquished their salary until the government opened back up, and I applaud them for that. That really kind of shows some character, if you ask me. But so many federal workers that have been, furloughed, laid off, and some have even been fired because of this, because the president has some unilateral power now. Yeah. If you can't do your job to keep the government open and keep people employed and keep services rolling, then your pay should be the first one on the chopping block. Should be. It should hit close to home to help them be a little bit more serious, rather than having a prick waving fight, a pissing match, so to speak, and trying to hold each other hostage via a shutdown to pass a particular agenda. And I've seen it happen with all the presidents in my adult life. So I can't say it's Democrats, can't say it's Republicans. I think there's now 2 Democrats that have voted to on the CR. They still need more. So it's not a good thing, them not doing their job. And adding 1.5 trillion in spending is not a good thing. And there was a number of items that went into that total 1.5 trillion. One of which being subsidies in the healthcare.gov, ACA, Obamacare, whichever way you want to title it. That program needs some serious damn reform. It is way too expensive for the people that actually don't need a subsidy. It is horrendously expensive. And there are private plans out there that cost a third less for those that companies, private, single individuals, self-employed individuals such as myself. So there's other options out there. And I went over this in another video. I would much rather pay $450 a month than $720 a month and have less deductible, less out of pocket, and smaller copays than go to the ACA and spend even more. It doesn't make sense. And I know a company would rather have their employees on a private plan rather than the government health care. So it doesn't make sense. And I have a prediction that the ACA is going to flounder. It's only a matter of time because I don't see how it can survive as more and more companies come off of that and go into private plan. But like I said, that was just one of the items in there. There's some other expenditures in there that the minority party wanted that make no damn sense whatsoever. Especially, there's some foreign aid items in there that make no damn sense. I'm not going to go through them, but they make no damn sense. Go look it up yourself, and you're going to say, "What is this?" Unless you agree with it, and then that's fine, you know. But it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't benefit America one bit. Some of these items that the minority party wants included in this $1.5 trillion in additional spending. So that's not good. But also, I believe if the deficit is at a certain level, Congress shouldn't be eligible for re-election. So I've got some pretty strong feelings about these things. I would not make a good president. I would piss too many people off. I really would. So the shutdown, Congress needs to get its ass together and get it done. Now there was murmurings out there, and some have reported it, that Chuck Schumer is not going to allow the government to open back up until after the No Kings March on Saturday, which is tomorrow. It would be today by the time this video comes out. The No Kings March, I'm all for marches and protests. There's been plenty that I've seen in Washington, D.C. Whether I agreed with them or not is irrelevant. I love seeing our constitutional rights being used properly. I do. I'm a huge constitutionalist. I love our Constitution. If I could roll it up and use it as a pillow every night, I would. The No Kings March, we heard a little bit about No Kings. There was No Kings protest previously. Kind of protesting Donald Trump because he's acting like a king, in which he's not. He's operating within the bounds of presidential authority. And if you go back through history, the president used not to have this much authority. But there was a certain administration in the 1900s that expanded the roles of the president, and that's where we are today. So, there's a particular party that likes to set precedent that gets pissed off when the other party operates within that precedent that they set. And they whine and cry foul, much wailing and gnashing of teeth, so to speak. But that happens tomorrow, so I guess we'll see Sunday or Monday, whenever the next vote is in the Senate to pass this CR. Keeps the spending exactly the same, just to keep the government open for another 7 weeks. That's it. 1.5 trillion additional spending for 7 weeks. That's that dog don't hunt. It really doesn't. So I applaud the Republicans for holding the line, and shame on Democrats for trying to pull that bullshit. Doesn't matter. But hey, Trump's got unilateral power, and he's eliminating shit. He really is. And you can't cry foul on that because it's within presidential authority to do so. And he's doing it. So you got to lay in the bed that you make. So hats off to you, Democrats. I don't think it was a smart play, but okay. I'm not in Congress. What do I know? I'm just one of the people that have to live with this crap. So, also big news. John Bolton was indicted for the mishandling of classified info. And they're citing the Espionage Act in this. And John Bolton himself, who was actually a former, he was formerly in Trump 1.0, the first administration. He was in the Trump administration. So, but President Trump back then was displeased with his level of service. So fast forward, here we are today. There are some saying that Trump is still targeting his political enemies. I don't see that he is. Now, what happened with the Russiagate and President Trump and all the things that were being done to him, yes, that was targeting. What's going on now is a government official that broke the law. That's not going after a political opponent. That's our justice system at work. And I'm sorry, it happens to be somebody that's not aligned with Trump. I really do. And more government officials should be held to account on both sides of the aisle. They really should, because there's bad actors on both sides, and they all need to be held accountable. This is part of why I'm such a firm believer in term limits. But Congress isn't going to vote themselves out of a job. Anyways, but John Bolton claimed, that he had permission or authority to have some of these documents that were found at his home when it was raided that were marked, classified. And, well, the U.S. president had his home raided, and he got indicted for having documents he was constitutionally allowed to have. He's the only one allowed to have classified information outside of office. Not the vice president, not the security advisor, not the head of the NSA or anything like that. Nobody else in the federal government can have these classified documents when they're not in office other than the president. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So Democrats, you don't have a case in that one either. I'm sorry. And I don't want to be picking on Democrats. I used to look at the Democrats. They used to have some really good ideas back in my young adulthood. And I claim myself to be an independent because the crazy far left, I can't align with that. And the crazy far right, I can't align with that either. So I couldn't pick a side. So I'm right in the middle, which the middle is now conservative just because the political spectrum has moved to the left so far. Republicans have moved to the left, Democrats have moved to the left, and I didn't move at all, but it just went over me. So here I am. I'm a conservative independent. Didn't foresee that happening, but like many moderate Democrats, the party left me. Well, yeah, the Democrats took themselves out of the playing field. Not my fault. So there's other investigations going on with other persons and suspected and alleged illegalities in the federal government. Some may not be aligned with President Trump, but there's a lot of people that they're looking at because a lot of bad was done over the past 8 years within the federal government in different branches, different divisions, different departments. So as much as I don't like it and it's embarrassing on the world stage, it needs to happen. So, moving right along, the Supreme Court has been discussing and debating the Voting Rights Act, specifically Section 2. They're trying to eliminate race-based gerrymandering of districts within states. Now, I heard a clip from Justice Jackson today. She started citing the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, segued into minorities and tried to make the ADA apply to being a minority and essentially saying that minorities are disabled as a justification of race-based gerrymandering of congressional districts. I know Chief Justice Roberts has been trying to take on this issue for 10 years or better. So I don't like anything race-based, nothing. I like American-based, and that's it. And I always have. Growing up Gen X, I was friends with everybody. We all got along. All ethnicities, all music styles. Today, I was listening to Luke Bryan, Tupac, the Allman Brothers, It's that way with Gen X. We were friends with everybody. We got along with everybody. Well, of course, there's a shred of people that don't on all sides, but the extreme, almost the entirety of the whole, we're cool with everybody. And so I've never been big on anything race based. Hey, I was 10 years old and I went to the opening screening showing of a blockbuster movie, 10 years old, in an all black neighborhood. The only thing there that was white, other than me, were the lights. And my cousin, he was with me too, same age. But yeah, it was all black neighborhood. Everybody worked was black. Everybody in the theater was black. We were the only two white boys there. We didn't feel threatened at all. Our parents did not feel threatened by us going there. So race-based, I don't understand. And this was in Memphis, Tennessee, which is majority black. So I don't understand it. I don't understand race-based anything, whether it's for gerrymandering of congressional districts for seat advantage, DEI, affirmative action. I don't understand any of it. There are more and more interracial marriages and more interracial, children being born, that at some point, race-based is going to be out the window completely, because there's not going to be a major race. There's going to be so many mixed race people that being of a whole race, whether it's Caucasian or Japanese or black, unless you're mixed race, is going to be the majority, and it's going to happen. So that was just a very interesting clip that I heard from Ketanji Jackson, and let's see if we can listen to it real quick.
Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact,
so you heard it, what Ketanji, Justice Jackson said. Now, that really makes me scratch my head. I'm like, what? I don't see how she was trying to put the two together. Bless her heart, she tried. And I remember watching her Senate confirmation. That was a very difficult Senate confirmation to be had. And I was surprised that she got confirmed. The past 4 justices to the court, I watched all their confirmation hearings, and it was tough. I even watched Justice Thomas. I watched his when I was young. That was painful to watch as well. Why that committee has got to act in the way that they do towards these justices? Or is it on the president for nominating people that are just not good? Personally, I would nominate a talented jurist that is without bias, and their rulings and opinions in their professional career should be able to reflect that. And anything that they may have contributed to any type of newspaper, magazine, periodical, anything in their adult life should all point that they are at a point of neutrality as a jurist. Oh, now since they reached since we're in the early stages of the peace deal that President Trump helped broker between Israel and Hamas and the Palestinians. Um, we saw that whole ceremony went down in Egypt. And I applaud President Trump and the administration for getting that brokered. It's a very difficult thing to get peace in the Middle East. That's one of the most tumultuous areas in the world historically. It's been going on forever. So Hamas has been executing Palestinians that they claim were aiding the Israelis. They're killing their own people in public. Point blank range gunfire from semi-automatic rifles with bystanders 10, 20 feet away. It's a spectacle. And it's a show of power that Hamas is in control, stronger than ever. And I know that Hamas is probably using it as an intimidation and terror tactic to get everybody else in alignment with them. But if that's how it's going to be, then we're going to have another problem to deal with. Not us as the United States, but the international community. Because there's not a civilized country on the planet that's going to stand for that. And if the peace there wasn't so damn important, it would already be dealt with by some group of nations by now. There had already been, talks about it. Maybe word has got sent to Hamas. I don't know. But yeah, that is not good at all. Free Palestine? Well, Hamas is freeing them from whatever Hamas is putting everybody else through. So, Katie Porter, the newest addition to the governor's race in California. That's all I can do is laugh about her. I've seen some of her on the internet. I've seen clips, and she's there to make Gavin Newsom look good. That's about all I can say about that. She's a bit of a hothead, and I don't think she's good for any elected office in any state. No, I wouldn't elect her to run the what's that place called? The local animal shelter. By her temperament and personality, no, that's not somebody that I can deal with. Go look her up and see some of the stuff. California is really been hurting in a leadership position for many a year, many a decade. It's just bad to worse. And California is no different than any other state or our country as a whole. There are so many policies that are just so outdated that are no longer appropriate or applicable. A lot of stuff, damn near I wouldn't say damn near everything, but so many items post World War II that was enacted, let's say in between World War II and the end of Vietnam, or maybe 1980. There are some key things in there. So some constitutional amendment stuff. Yeah, those are appropriate. I'm talking about policy positions and the way of doing things, the way of handling business. It's completely obsolete. The New York governor had their three-way debate, and Mandami, he clearly owned that stage. I didn't expect that. I thought Cuomo, with his experience and just who he is, would be able to show some strong leadership. Nope. I was mistaken. So, Mr. Mandami, Mandani. I can't say his name correctly. I'm notorious about butchering names, but I can't read my own writing either. So I would predict, like so many other people would predict, that he's going to win governor of New York, and I'll be praying for New York if that happens, because I don't think any of the three candidates were any good for New York. I don't think any of those candidates is what New York needs. New York needs a lot of reform in its policies on the way it does business, much like California does, and many other states in the country. There really are no blue states, but there's many policies on the books in all the states that just need to go away because they're not applicable to 2025. They're really not. ICE, the raids and the protests up in Chicago, not good. People blocking ICE agents with their cars still. Chicago, Illinois governor and Chicago mayor seems to have created an asylum place where criminal aliens are virtually protected from anything and anybody. So if you're a criminal alien and you go into a courthouse in Illinois, the federal government cannot touch you. That's the message that's being sent out. And they're not, the local police and state police cannot assist ICE in their task force in their duties. I know Chicago's got its own identity. I know it's got its own attitude and personality. But damn, this might come back to bite them. It might. They might have something go on and they say, hey, federal government, help us. And they're going to, where were you? Now, there's things have been said that, yeah, the president can federalize the National Guard, but he can't deploy them. Yes, he can, actually. And it's been done before by presidents in the past. I'm not going to name names or the party that they're from, that ordered shoot to kill on American citizens by the American military. I'll let you do the research, because I don't want to be accused of using any type of talking point from any particular party, but it's in written history. The cartel and Mexican gangs have bounties out on members of ICE, and with different levels of payout depending on service performed. Now that right there, to me, if I was president of the United States, I say that crosses over the line. And there's no going back from that. I understand why the cartel and Mexican gangs are putting the bounties on them, because that's cutting into their cash flow. I get it. It's disrupting their business model. I get that. I understand that. However, you run illegal businesses peddling illegal drugs and human trafficking. And, well, I wouldn't say indentured servitude, but you're making these people pay a hell of a lot of money back to the cartels for passage into the United States. So, yeah, I know what I would do if I was president and this came out. I know exactly what I would do. And that's why I wouldn't be a good president. I would make some people mad. I've got a strain of no nonsense within me, and some things I just will not tolerate, and that's one of them. A foreign entity, a foreign group, is threatening and ordering bounties on our government officials, our government employees, our citizens, our brothers and sisters. I wouldn't be able to sit idly by and let that happen. Yeah, talk is talk, but the cartels need to get dealt with anyway. So I say release the kid on them. Bring Papa Buff and some 22s and 35s, maybe some B2s, and let's put some holes in the ground. And unfortunately, with that, it costs money, and there's the risk of collateral damage, and I would not want any collateral damage. But I don't think a strike team being surgically inserted would do the trick. No, we need to shock and awe like we did in the 40s. I ain't talking about using a nuclear weapon, but we need to make some believers out of some people. We really do. Now, Zelensky had that meeting with President Trump today. I caught bits and pieces of it. I haven't listened to it at length. So I'm not going to talk about that today. See what else is on this little list. Oh, yeah. China decided they were going to drop their balls for a minute and try to be the big dog on the planet and put controls on rare earth exports. Well, that's going to hurt a lot of countries. It really is. And they're attempting to hold the world hostage to a degree. And I think it might backfire on them. Now, with that being said, United States of America, we have enough population, we have enough land mass, we have enough natural resources. We can be mostly self-sufficient in every sector. Now, there are some sectors where we would need supplemental. Rare earths is one of them. We're behind China in rare earth extraction, mining, and refinement. And there's no way to really fast track that. So we got to get something figured out with that. But I would urge our administration to do everything we can to push for self-sufficiency. Yeah, we can make our own bourbon, but a good scotch tastes good too. We've got our own champagne, California sparkling wine, whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, but a bottle of champagne from France just sometimes hits the spot. Same as truffles and Parmigiano Reggiano and any other imported product. It doesn't have to be food products. I'm a foodie. I cook fresh. A lot of the stuff I cook is, ingredients I cook with are imported. So yeah, we can be pretty self-sufficient when it comes to just about all of our different metals that we need, major macro metals, steel and aluminum, zinc, copper. We've got all that. We've got the bauxite. We've got it all. Gold, we've got. We don't have a diamond industry in this country. De Beers is pretty much got that sewed up, which the international community needs to probably do something about that, because diamonds are not rare, but they manipulate the market to make them rare to keep the price up. So anyways, I wouldn't want to talk about diamonds anyways. But yeah, there are certain items where we would need supplement from, and rare earth is one of them, especially until we can get up and running. But even then, I think we might still need supplement. I think wood products, I would look at that, and I would want to convert some of those woodlands into acreage of hemp, especially just for the paper products. You can get an acre of hemp will yield more in 20 years in paper products than trees would. So gold, we've got some gold. So we can be largely sufficient, self-sufficient. We don't need to have all our clothing made in the countries that it's made in. We don't need our cell phones made in China. We can make them here. We've got enough people. We've got enough talent. We've got enough ability. We've got enough higher education facilities to where we can learn how to do the things that we have fallen behind on because administrations in the past wanted to help develop the rest of the world rather than develop ourselves, and which put us into a perpetual cycle of habitual consumerism. Yeah, we know how to shop, we know how to eat. So, and when presidents, whether it's President Trump or any other president, says bringing manufacturing back, well, yeah, we need to have plenty of jobs for our people. We do. Now, with our current size of population, there's only so much that we can produce in each sector. So, whether we completely fulfill that and have a surplus that we can export, I'm fine with that. If we don't have enough natural resources, we need to import supplement, I'm fine with that too. I am. But I think this country needs to move wholeheartedly headstrong into self-sufficiency, get into the universities and the higher education systems and strip out everything that is absolutely unnecessary, that's not going to yield a good paying job. There are people going into college and coming out with a college degree, using their degree, getting a job that requires that degree, making $38,000 a year. A teenager in college makes more than that waiting tables. So we need to strip out everything that doesn't yield a good paying job. A lot of these, some of these degrees that I've heard these people say that they've got, I don't even know what they are. They don't make any sense. So, and we need to expand tech and trade schools and take some of the government assistance away from colleges and put it into the trade schools where we can educate our citizens on how to do the manufacturing jobs, especially the technical manufacturing jobs like computers and cell phones and things of that nature, where we're recapturing that from China. So we need a lot of that here. That's about it for today. Yeah, I've got my evergreen items on here: term limits, clean bill passage, mental health reform, criminal justice reform. Oh, last thing. I did see a little while ago, there is a cop in Illinois, in Cook County, in Hanover, that is in the country illegally. You heard it. There is an illegal that is a police officer in Hanover, Illinois, in Cook County, same county as Chicago, might I add you. It's a tourist visa overstay. It expired in 2015. So he's never re-upped it, and just remained in this country for the past 10 years. And he was accepted into the police academy. Excuse me, I yawned. And now he's a police officer, not even a citizen. Now, I've got an opinion about citizenship. Feel pretty damn strongly about it, and I'm going to lay it out to you. You might say that I'm wrong, you might disagree, and that's okay. Any elected office in this country that's elected by a ballot measure, a vote of the citizens, should be natural born citizens only in those offices. And I would extend that to those elected officials, any position that they appoint, whether it's, attorneys general, DA, district attorney, any type of judge, anything that's appointed by these elected persons should also be natural born citizens. However, somebody that immigrates and achieves citizenship, I think should be eligible to work in government, just at the lower levels, without the leadership. And that's just how I feel about it. Even like the school board. School board should be, yeah, that's not, well, it is government, but natural born citizen. Okay. If an elected official hires staff or interns, yeah, you could be just a citizen that wasn't born here, but you got to be a citizen. Citizens only in government, period. And those by election or appointees of elected officials, natural born citizens. And that's everywhere, local education, the United States Postal Service, park ranger, border patrol, Supreme Court, district court, city court, night court, wildlife conservation, any office, ambassador to whatever country, natural born citizen. Now, I'm probably going to get a little bit of hate from that because, yes, some persons that immigrate and become citizens could be very passionate and want nothing but the best for America. I understand. But there are some that aren't. And they're going to use our system against us unless we strengthen our system. And we've seen that in other areas of this country. And we're seeing it unfold in places in Europe as well. They're using the system against us. So we've got to harden our system. We do. I'm third generation in this country. Okay. Grandmother was first generation, father was second generation. I'm third. So I'm not far removed from the immigrants. Now, my great grandfather died before I was born. My great grandmother was alive for my entire childhood. She died in my early adulthood. Yeah, citizenship. I think we need that. You can't be a cop on a work visa. You can't have any role in government on a work visa. You got to have some type of, immigrant citizen or natural born citizen to work in any government office. Yeah, or any, and we can extrapolate that out into there might be certain other areas like defense contracting and sensitive information and things of that nature. But that is something I'm very, very passionate about. That's it for today. October 17th, Friday evening, actually, doing this at the end of my day. I'd like to hear your opinions, thoughts, concerns. Let me know. Drop them in the comments. The truth of the day is really doing the right thing. Don't be an ass. We've got government officials showing their whole ass. We've got people in the streets not doing the right thing. We're better than that. We really are. We're embarrassing ourselves on the international stage too, with the way that we're conducting ourselves in our internal business dealings, whether it be the government shutdown or whether it be the protesters and interrupting the ICE raids. So do the right thing. Be a good person. Let the system work. The system is working as it's written out in our laws. So yeah, just stay out of the way. Get out of the way and do your job. So if you're disrupting, get out of the way. If you're in an elected office, do your damn job, because you can be elected out. So with that, I'm Alan Print Up for This Truth. Have a good evening and be well.